long-term, but he's got a good engine and good head for the game, and it's good value for a pick right here.
Toronto FC are on the clock right now. Of course, the defending MLS Cup champions. Let's take a look at the 11. This is the projected 11 of what they hope is the repeat champion.
Yeah, Bobby and I have been trying to put together starting 11s for each team. I think this is the easiest.
Yeah, you got the easy
What's
one here, man.
What's there to say here?
Well, the big thing to say is they lost Beitashour on the right side. And as I've said over and over, in this league, outside backs are becoming more and more important because clearly Michael Bradley and Vasquez are very good players, but everyone has good center midfielders at this point. Everyone has good strikers, so where can you differentiate yourself? Outside back. I think Beitashour could actually be a pretty big loss, guys.
I don't know. Hassler had 9 starts, 3 goals, comfortable getting forward into the attack. This team looks solid to me.
Can I talk Delgado for a sec, too?
Of course.
Because we talked about that MLS Cup, and they were amazing. But you know who was the best player besides Michael Bradley? It was Osorio. Osorio was so good in the middle of the field, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets that starting spot instead.
I would be. Delgado, to me, was the difference between this team being a very good team and an elite team. When he was on the field and clicking, and you saw that during the playoffs, he struggled, I think, through most of the playoffs. Yeah. And then when it clicked for Delgado in the final, they destroyed Seattle. But I want to make a point here. Everybody says, oh, the draft doesn't matter as much as it used to. I see 2 draft picks of Toronto's in that starting 11. Alex Bono at goalkeeper and Nick Hagglund at right center back. If the draft matters for Toronto FC, who just had the best season in MLS history, it should matter for your team too. So MLS GMs who are out there saying, I don't care about the draft. Tim Bezbachenko, Greg Vanney, they care about the draft. They just added 3 big trophies to their cabinet this year. You should probably care about the draft.
CCL is up next. Drew Moore, draft pick. Justin Moore, a draft pick. Josie Altidore, a draft pick. Michael Bradley, a draft pick. Delgado came out of the academy for Chivas USA. But you're right. There is talent there on the domestic level. Toronto FC knows it, and they're on the clock with the 23rd pick. I mentioned CCL. I've got the Fever. Do they have a chance to win this thing, Ali?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in it, you got a chance. It's going to be really tough, though. It's not easy. Going into some of those markets and playing against those fans, it's really, really difficult. They've got a talented team. They need to stay healthy. Can some of their younger players that maybe got a few minutes last year, can they step up and really get some significant minutes and some significant games? We'll see. It'll be a tough opportunity.
They had young players step up last year, including Raheem Edwards, who I thought was a big loss during the expansion draft. They lost him to LAFC, who then flipped him to Montreal. Edwards was the guy when Morrow was, out of gas a little bit or on national team duty. Edwards was the guy who came in at that left wingback spot and was a difference maker. I'm not sure I see a left wingback at this point. I don't see a right wingback either. If Segbers or Bai was still on the board, they would definitely have taken them, I think. Probably just means best player available, best pure passer of the ball. Maybe a guy like Olaski from UCLA. Maybe, there are a few other guys who are, I think, more central midfielders, but could maybe play wide as well. But look for a guy who can connect passes.
Well, if you're a player, this is a good club to go to because of their facilities, the way in which they cultivate their environment and their culture. And they're a team that's in a lot of competitions. They're in the Canadian Championship. They're in MLS regular season. They're in Champions League. And so there's a lot of games. They've got a lot of players that also play with their national team, so they may be missing games, and therefore those are opportunities. So it's a good place to be if you're a young player.
You see the clock ran out on Toronto FC here. That may mean some movement here. It sounds like a trade is in the works for the Reds. 2 Generation Adidas players left still. Edward Opoku out of Virginia, the 20-year-old from Right to Dream, and Gordon Wild, the German, who stayed at Maryland for his junior season after questioned as a sophomore. He's 22, still on the board here. We'll see what goes on with Toronto FC. What do you make of these GAs dropping?
I think Wild was in the draft because Ziggy Schmidt likes him. I think that LAFC or the Galaxy kind of suspected that they would be able to maybe trade into the early part of the second round and pick up Gordon Wild for a song. As for Opoku, I don't get it. I do not understand why he was a late addition to the class, and here on the verge of round 2, he's still available.
All right, we've got some information for you coming out of Philly. Of course, we mentioned that trade. Let's see what went down.
We have a trade to announce involving Toronto FC and Minnesota United. Toronto have traded the 23rd overall pick pick to Minnesota United in return for $50,000 in target